Welcome to session 11 of your Divine Purpose Devotional. And I've called this one Times and Seasons. It's actually related to a message I've preached many times, which is, what time is it? I believe that is an apostolic question. You see, there's a great verse, Esther 4:14. And the statement is this: you were born for such a time as this. But in order to understand that, you need to know what time is it. What time is it for you? The sons of Issachar understood the times and knew what to do. For you and I to know what to do, we need to know what time it is. And I just want to encourage you. I believe that this is an apostolic question, what time it is. And understanding times and seasons is the fruit of being apostolic. Jesus challenged his disciples. He said to them, hey, you don't even know what it means for there to be, a spiritual time. You understand the natural, red sky at night, he kind of said, shepherd's delight, red sky at morning, shepherd's warning. But the real key is, do you know what spiritual time it is? I believe that we're a very privileged generation. Privileged because there are a number of elements to being alive at such a time as this. See, we live in the days of the greatest opportunity, which is the sheer numbers of people being born, the sheer numbers of people migrating to cities. There are 3 billion people who live in cities today. And I believe that is an invitation to revival. The sheer numbers of people makes it revival time. We also live in days where there is an appetite for change. Much more than other generations, we have an appetite and a hunger for change. Those of us who like our smartphones, we want to change our phone as soon as a new one comes out. Whereas our grandparents probably had one phone for life. It's an appetite for change. And I believe that is a key, because that means it's Reformation time. Time to be hungry for and to pursue change. We also live in days of the greatest access to creativity that there has ever been. We can make videos just like I am now, and they send them around the world. That access to creativity, I suggest, makes this Renaissance time. Yes, revival time, Reformation time, and Renaissance time. We'll look at each of those in the coming sessions. But I want to say this as well. We also, in terms of time, we are an identity generation. We as a generation have probably spent more time as individuals thinking about, praying about, reading about our identity. Perhaps we've spent time in the counselor's chair being healed up. We are an identity generation, and that's exciting. This is a vital component of revival, reformation, and renaissance. But not only are we an identity generation, we're a destiny generation. Put in a search for destiny on your internet and you'll see 1 million plus replies come, places to go and to search. We're a destiny generation. There's such a hunger for purpose, for knowing who we are and why we are alive. It was highlighted, I think, during the COVID months and years, where some of us struggled with our purpose because we weren't able to do what we normally did. We are a destiny generation. Not only that, we're a heaven on earth generation. I love the teaching, and I love the fact that so many of us have been able to go to schools of ministry or healing schools or healing conferences. And there is this desire to pursue the supernatural in our lives. We're an identity generation, a destiny generation, a heaven on earth generation, and I would suggest to you a kingdom generation. Realizing, as so much of this book and these devotionals are about, realizing that it's not about the church, but about the kingdom. The whole earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of God as the waters cover the sea, not just the church. We're a kingdom generation. Some of the teaching on spheres of influence encourages us with that, and that it is for all of us, the priesthood of all believers. We're all ministers of the gospel of the kingdom. And I want to encourage all of you. And I would add finally that we are very much a presence generation. We've gone through so many seasons of praise and worship and, scripture in song and psalm in song. And I love today that our expectation is that we will experience the presence of God. When I talk about times and seasons, these are the thoughts that I have. Yes, it's revival time. Yes, it's Reformation time. Yes, it's Renaissance time. And yes, we are an identity generation, a destiny generation, a heaven on earth generation, a kingdom generation, a presence generation. And I believe that all these elements add up for each one of us. And I'm just highlighting them briefly in this session here. But they all add up, and they will help each one of us to find our place, our assignment. Maybe you're a revivalist in healthcare or education, or a reformer in healthcare, a reformer in business, or maybe you're a Renaissance man or woman, perhaps in the area of graphics or even in AI. And all of us get to believe that we can bring heaven to earth. All of us get to see that our assignment is to expand the influence of King Jesus, whoever we are, wherever we go. And all of us can experience the presence of God, whether it's listening in worship, in a corporate meeting, or being aware of his presence where we are, in what we do, or putting the earphones in and listening to worship in the middle of our day, or playing worship music as we drive our cars. Times and seasons, this is our privilege to be alive at such a time as this. And I want to just encourage you, review the story of Esther. How do you see her knowledge of her own identity impacting her ability to do what she did? She was born for such a time as this, but so were you and I. What can you declare about your current time and season? Perhaps you've been struggling. Perhaps it's been difficult. Well, I encourage you, change the way you see your time and season, and see it that you were born for such a time as this, and reflect on your sphere of influence and ask yourself, what time is it? And therefore, what must I do in my sphere of influence? I believe that we are alive for such a time as this. I love that verse where Paul says, as if to one untimely born. Well, he may have been untimely born, but he was perfectly born for such a time as his. And so were you. And so I bless you to understand what time it is for you, because when you know what time it is, you'll know what to do.